The following program will make you want to grow things and experience new and wonderful dreams about your plants, garden, and garden design. Listener participation is always strongly advised. Good evening and welcome to Down the Garden Path with your hosts Joanne Shaw and Matthew Dressing, right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board, dial 905-725-1907. Toll free in North America, 1-866-905-7325. Worldwide, 1-866-656-5477. Send us an email right now. Our email address is instudio101@gmail.com. And now, right to your hosts of Down the Garden Path, Joanne Shaw and Matthew Dressing.
Thank you, and welcome everyone to this episode of Down the Garden Path, where we discuss down-to-earth tips and advice for your plants, gardens, and landscapes. As landscape designers and gardeners, we think it is important and possible to have great gardens that are low maintenance, and we want to help you make it happen. I am Joanne Shaw, landscape designer and owner of Down to Earth Landscape Design for the past 11 years. And with me is my co-host Matthew Dressing. Welcome, Matthew.
Good evening, Joanne. Good evening, Carrie. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for tuning into another episode of Down the Garden Path. I am Matthew Dressing, horticulturist and landscape designer and owner of Natural Affinity Designs. Natural Affinity is a landscape design and garden maintenance firm servicing Toronto and the Eastern GTA. We enjoy doing Down the Garden Path, each week bringing you interesting, relevant, and helpful topics to help you achieve a great garden. We learn right along with you, from each other, from our research, and from the guests that join us here on the show. As always, we welcome your questions via social media, emails, and phone calls.
That's right. And we want to thank you once again for always joining us here Down the Garden Path and live on Monday nights at 7 on Reality Radio 101. But also remember that you can subscribe to Down the Garden Path podcast on your favorite podcast app for instant updates when our new episodes go live. So if you miss a show or miss part of a show, you know you can always catch up there.
That's right.
So, and we'd love for you to please subscribe and comment something, and tell a friend. If you've got a gardening friend, please pass it on. So thank you for joining us here Down the Garden Path.
That's right. And if you've been tuning in and you have been, or you are a regular listener, as we know and we appreciate that many of you are, so thank you, that this is going to be our last show for the year of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So what did we decide to talk about? Well, a lot of you have been writing in and asking questions about Christmas. So we're going to talk all about Christmas. So we have a few things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about our own Christmases and, some of the more commonly asked questions.
That's right.
That we often get as landscape designers, as garden center employees. It's just in general, because everyone knows we like to do that kind of stuff, right? So if you have different questions, you want to join the conversation, it's instudio101@gmail.com. Again, instudio101@gmail.com. You can reach us there. If you're anywhere in North America, you want to give us a phone call on this cool
We'd love that.
December evening. Exactly, we would. It's 1-866 1-866-905-7325. Again, 1-866-905-7325. Worldwide, quickly, 1-866-656-5477.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's been, it's been a long year. It's been great.
It has been.
We should have a count of how many shows we did, but we did a lot.
I think this one in the notes.
Oh,
because
he's very official and puts it in the notes.
Right, I do it like the TV, like that.
Yes.
Season 5 episode, and I think this one, and I think at one point I did lose track, but I think this is episode 43.
Wow.
So we've only missed like 9.
Yeah.
For the year,
Yeah.
and we're about to have 2 of them ahead of us, right?
Right, for sure. So, wow, that's incredible.
So that's
fun. Thank you, everyone. And we do know that we've had, last few weeks, people writing in asking, when we are going to talk about Christmas. So hopefully we're not too late and you still have lots of Christmas questions. There's always lots to talk about this time of year, I think, right? Because even though it's our outside gardening, even for non-gardeners, they're doing something inside, right? Whether it's their Christmas trees, their holiday plants, different things like that. So even people who, don't do that much outside, they think about plants inside. And then I think there's a lot of people who are missing the planting outside, and so we're excited that they get to do it inside.
Now.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure. And Josh writes in, no, the last show of the year. What will I do? Love you guys. I will be missing you. Merry Christmas. Well, thank you very much, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
We'll miss you too. But it's good to have a little bit of a break, and we'll stay tuned to the end of the show because we've got some we've been doing double time planning next year. So our 2020 season is very exciting. We've got lots of news for you on what we're going to do. Some things a little slightly different. So we can't wait to tell you about it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. We'll leave them with that teaser.
There you go. So where do we want to start? There's so many fun things about Christmas.
I know. Well, Josh has to write in with a question or something, I think.
I guess one of the big questions that, just as you mentioned, gardening inside, a lot of people are still coming into the garden center. What do I do for my plants? I've got little insects and it's not so much how do I bring them inside now, because they're
already
dead
in.
or they're in.
Yeah.
Right. But a lot of people right now are still getting fungus gnats.
Me included, actually.
Right.
And it's weird. I'm not getting them. I guess I don't hang out by my plants, so I'm not really noticing, but I'm seeing them in other areas of the house. I'm like, why is in my coffee? Like, honest to God. I'm like, where is that coming from? So yes, so they're definitely floating around the house. So yes. And
exactly.
And are you going to recommend the sticky paper?
Yeah. So I like to recommend a combination of like the sticky paper, like a mechanical control. But you can also do the cultural control. A lot of people still bring in their houseplants and think that they need as much water and food as they did outside, and that's not the case. So just making sure that you are letting the pot dry out. Don't just do the top like inch or as far as your finger can go down. That'll always dry out to the lack of humidity and the light, the indoor environment. Really, right. That'll always dry out. But the roots are in that bottom 2/3, and if that doesn't dry out, that's where that moisture is still seeping up into the upper layers, and it's drawing in those fungus gnats. They can realize that they're there. There's food growing, and they're laying eggs, and they're going to multiply.
Right.
And you can have upwards of 5 generations living there at once. So the control can be a 2 to 3 week type of thing. Mm-hmm. So let things dry out, remove the top of the soil, and then if you can find them, usually your local garden center will have them, just the little sticky traps.
That's right.
And stick them in. They kind of see in this whitewash, gray, white, and black kind of world, minimal colors, and they see this big, bright orange fluorescent, yellow thing, and they go out and investigate, and they get stuck. So
they get stuck, and so then they can't lay eggs.
Right.
So then, so it's
back.
kind of like, so you're kind of interrupting the circle of life. So definitely an effective way. I find I haven't had a ton of them. Like it's not, and I have actually been a little I tend to go to the more negligent side of watering. I don't really overwater. So I was surprised, but I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, but definitely I know they can be a little bit of a nuisance.
They can be.
Right?
They can be.
Especially when they show up in your coffee.
Yes. But they're easily dealt with.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. I did see a couple postings on the Facebook group, too, about more insect damage that actually looks like that, like little bits of cotton kind of tucked in the stem. So that's another kind of fungus, isn't it?
Mealybug.
Mealybug. Okay.
Yeah. So they have they're kind of like a horizontally striped insect with little kind of like earwig tail, and then they can have all this cottony, cushiony stuff on them too, and they get into like little crevices.
Yes.
And, if you've got palms, they get right into where the leaves join.
Okay.
And then you can usually you can spray inside, which is very tough to do.
Right.
You do want to have good air circulation, but usually just a Q-tip with some
rubbing alcohol. Yes. Yeah. Because you just need to get them off.
Yeah, and then they're just little sap suckers, and eventually you'll just control them, and they'll all die.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think they really kill. It would take a long time, depending on the size of your plant, right?
Yeah,
they're going to impact it eventually, but it's not something that oh no, you've got them, and now you could lose your plant.
Yeah,
it is very treatable, and as long as you catch it,
right. And like you said, you would notice tons of them. Like it would be like big, like almost like a disease, like a fungus disease all over it. And you'd be like, what? Before it really does too much.
Right, for sure. Okay.
So that's pretty much going on.
Yeah.
What's in anything, house plants.
Yeah. Anything else at the garden center that people are talking about?
We know we've done our Christmas urns.
Right.
So we've done all of our outdoor urns. So don't forget is just keeping those watered if it thaws out wherever you've got them. Look for the wilt-proof product to keep them protected. And now we're kind of moving into the Christmas tree season is kind of winding down.
Okay.
And we're moving into the indoor arrangements. So our
like
greens.
centerpieces.
Centerpieces, thank you.
Yes.
Why don't I ever say centerpiece?
I don't know. That's okay. But garland, do people buy get decorated garland for their mantles and things like that?
They do. They do. So they're doing that, but that's usually sold out by now.
Oh.
So usually people will pick it up when they get the greens before the live Christmas trees.
Okay.
So end of November or end of October, beginning of November.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, do you bring anything live in for decorating, Christmas decorating? Like branches and evergreens and stuff?
I usually, personally? Or
personally.
Yeah, I usually will hand make a wreath.
Okay.
So we get all the little ends of the Christmas trees at the end, and everyone wants a couple branches removed. So I slowly squirrel some balsam fir away for myself, and then I get the forms from Michael's or a craft store, and I will wire together little bunches of greens.
Okay.
And do a little mix and create my own wreath that I have inside.
Oh, excellent.
And I like the balsam fir for the scent, because the Fraser fir holds the needles longer, but the balsam gives you more of the scent.
Yes.
But last year, I think it was the Canaan fir, or I don't think it was Canyon, but a Canaan or Cannon fir or something like that.
Okay.
I kid you not, I made this wreath. It was probably, but right about now, mid-December. It was solid green.
Oh.
Until the second week of June.
June,
I kid you not. And as bizarre as it sounds, I did not take it down until June. And then only in the heat of the June and the humidity, it actually started to yellow. And I was like, yeah, okay, it's time to get rid of that.
Now, where are you hanging it?
I just had this open spot on the wall in the living room. It was there was nothing there. It was just perfectly fine. And it just sat there.
Oh, my goodness.
There was no heat, no draft. There was a very, very little direct sunlight, but I could not believe it was just, it wasn't not as lush and as soft.
For sure.
But the green, that dark black green color, did not flinch until mid-June. I couldn't believe it.
That's incredible. And was it now? Obviously, it wasn't fragrant until June, but during the holiday season, did it give off a bit of a scent?
Beautiful till about mid-January.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
good.
So about a month.
Yeah. Well, I tend to when I made my urns and bought all my greens for that, I tend to always buy extra and then I leave it in the garage.
Yeah.
And then so I brought some in. I've got a couple of just vases. I've got a red vase here and a gold pot there where I just kind of have just a mixture, so that I'm not doing arrangements in Oasis or anything like that.
Okay,
they're more informal than that. But a mixture of the pine, the cedar, and fir in cut short and kind of in a vase because it just adds a little something.
Oh, it totally does.
So I've done that because I had some friends over at the beginning of December, so I've done that. But I have more in the garage that now this week, kind of getting closer to Christmas, I just want to bring more because we do have an artificial tree, so we don't have a real tree.
Right.
So I like to add the mantle's done, but then I'll add some pine to it, and then so kind of do some more little finishing touches around the house because those tend the ones that aren't now going to be in water, like those ones I could bring in because I put them in water, but then there's some other ones that I'm just going to lay the greens right on the mantle, so it's not going to be in water, so it's it's going to last a week or so, and then it's got to go done. Right. So but I still think it's a nice way. So if you have access to greens, so a lot of people have that in their own yard. You can go trim your own cedar or your own pine trees and add a little bit of evergreen around your house, and I think it makes a difference. Like a couple sprigs in the bath, in a little vase in the bathroom with it just makes, I don't know, I just think it's a nice touch.
That is. It's so simple. And if you end up, you have a few little Christmas balls or something, or you just put them on the base of the vase, or there's just so many easy, simple ways to add a little touch here and there.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what I kind of like to do. So I'm about to do that this week.
Very nice. Oh, and Susan has written in, "Hello, Joanne and Matthew, a longtime listener here from the Bronx, New York City. I just wanted to say Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year to you and your families." Thank you, Susan, and the same to
absolutely.
you and yours. I have appreciated the fantastic advice that you have given to all of us here listening. There's a glare on the screen. To the two of you weekly, when we were able to listen. I can't tell you how much that we appreciate it. When is Down the Garden Path book coming out with all of your tips, tricks, and advice? Now that would be a great Christmas gift. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, Susan.
And that's funny you say that, Susan, because I've said that to you.
Yeah, I know.
Before.
I know.
What if we had our own book?
I know. So, thank you, Susan.
I picture Christmas gifts, signed copies, monthly
giveaways, all that kind of. And Gary's totally nodding.
Well, let me interject because your listeners, I know, cross listen. We have a couple other garden shows on the air, and you're friends with these folks.
Yes. And they both have written books.
They have written books. They sell
Steve.
books. They give away books. I always see them online signing books. They're doing all kinds of books. So I think Down the Garden Path, one of your goals for 2020, because you got to plan it.
Yes.
Write a book.
Challenge accepted.
I know. Oh, my goodness. Yes. Easy for you to say.
Yeah.
But yeah. But thank you, Susan. It's definitely on our minds.
I was going to say, it's definitely on the radar.
That's right.
Closer to my radar than it is to Joanne's.
Yes.
But I think so for sure. Thank you very much. Thank you for all your kind words.
Yes. And we do recognize your name. And I know that you've commented before, and we really, and are listening. So we really appreciate it.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
So is there anything else you like to do around the house? Any green? Well, I mean, you talked about greens, but like any tips or tricks or fun things or?
No, those are kind of my little experiments that I do. Yeah.
And do you have a poinsettia or any Christmas holiday plants?
I actually bought, I bought one of those mixed, I don't usually do this, but I did impulse purchase one of those little mixed planters where there's like a little fern and a little poinsettia and a little, a lot of, the polka dot plant, which we both know is not going to live, but, so it really kind of, I just had an end table and I just thought, you know what, it was in the right size because sometimes they're too big or sometimes they're so small that they're not, and this was the perfect size. And so I actually did that. So and it's actually there's not a vent near it, but it's actually not far from our fireplace. So I have to kind of make sure we have a wood burning fireplace. So I'm like, it can't get too hot, right? I have to be mindful of watering it and kind of turning it and things like that. So all sides get the light. So that was, a little splurge on my part, and we'll see after the season, how many plants I can separate and rescue kind of thing. I think one of the challenges for me is in Christmas decorating, is relocating all my house plants. I don't know if that's something that our listeners do as well. Around on my main floor, I've got house plants in all the different rooms, and then now I want to put Christmas decorations on those shelves or in those, things. So I've kind of got them all. I feel bad, like they've all been banished to the corner upstairs. So just making sure that they're looked after, but not overlooked after, and and some of them I did cut right back. I found some of the pathos were getting really leggy.
Yeah.
So I did some cutting back and have the ends all in water. So that I'm hoping that by January, when I start to put houseplants back, that they've rooted and I can repot them up.
Some new additions.
Yeah, for sure. Because I had some that were tired and needed, new soil. And I don't know, when the plants start to really, really hang low, I find like the first 2 feet of them, they've really grown. Like the one, Gary, even the one in the studio is getting long. I know. Look how long it's growing. But I find mine stop growing at the top. So like I'll get a foot or 2 feet of bare, like just stem, and then the leaves start. So that's what I was finding that just kept happening. So I did some cutting and so they needed a little fresh up.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope. And they are pretty. Many of the plants, they're very easy to root.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So that's been my extent of indoor gardening for the season.
Very nice. Just to jump in, Winnie writes a question. Hello, and what is the best way to preserve a live Christmas tree? Do you have a formula to use to feed it, or should I just buy a commercial pre-mixed formula? Thank you, and Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas, Winnie.
Yes, Merry
Thank you
Christmas.
for writing in. And did you...
No, I think there's been so many like little wives' tales about a mix, and I think it is. Christmas trees are expensive, right? Mm-hmm. And we don't need it losing its needles. So I think my vote is to go with the tried and true pre-mixed. Yeah. Do you agree?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was going to say. And then the only other part to that, maybe, Winnie, would be consider, do you, and maybe you can answer this, but do you buy one pre-cut or do you cut your own? Mm-hmm. Because the other half of the preservative, and let's just go there first, the preservative is basically it's a formula to prevent the sugars and the saps that it's drinking up from crystallizing and blocking some of the phloem and the xylem, the veins, to keep it flowing and keeping it drinking and prevent the sap from clogging everything. So they do very, very well. I don't know of any wives' tales or anything like that.
I mean, as a kid growing up, there's people that say water and sugar, or water and aspirin, or Sprite, different things like that. But really, it does up that basic function of keeping the veins of the tree open, so that it can draw up the water.
And that's kind of the key. We need to keep it flowing. The other half I was saying about cutting or pre-cut was they're cut in a time at the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, in which the trees are drawing up all their moisture in preparation to go to sleep or to be wintered. So when they're cut, they're filled with water. So that's how they last so long.
Right.
But when you go and cut one down, they've drawn up the water, done their thing, and pushed all their extra sap and nutrients below the soil level. So they've locked it away for their own.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So you tend to cut a drier tree.
Okay.
Right. It's just so if you picture like a maple, right? Mm-hmm. The maple syrup, the sap flows back up into the tree.
Right.
Right. The evergreens have done the same thing, but we've cut it while they've got extra water and that sap's still there.
Okay.
So just kind of maybe if you've had a bad experience, not to say, and I will say myself, I've bought balsams in the past. The balsams tend to lose their needles first, but I have bought them and opened them and they dropped within a week or two.
Yeah.
So that's not a tried and true, but just generally just some background experience there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So, well, even more so that there's always should be a fresh cut and
yes, always a nice
and
fresh
lots
cut.
of water. So yeah, so it's
Lots
important. You've got to keep the preservative and keep the water going.
And keep it going, and just follow the instructions always on the back. It seems like, and maybe everybody else has had this experience, it seems like they're pushing like 3 or 4 bottles on you when you're buying this stuff. Don't forget, you need like 2 of them. You pretty much do need 2 of them. That's going to be the first drink that thing has had. So you need to kind of open those veins. Is it
a concentrate? Like, do you dilute it?
It is a concentrate.
Okay.
Yeah. So you only need like a tablespoon per liter per water. But if you think you get like the milk jug or whatever you use, a watering can, however you use it, you're putting 3-4 liters in at a time. So there's like 5 tablespoons in a thing that's like maybe 150 or 250 mils.
Right.
You usually go through the first one quicker, and you're going to use more at the beginning of the season than you will at the end of the season.
Okay.
So
Yeah, but if you're buying the tree the day before Christmas, you only need 1 bottle.
You only need 1 bottle. And
That's
if you're
right.
going to keep it up for like a week, maybe you don't even need 1. But
Yeah.
So I mean, playing it by ear. So hopefully that answers your question,
Winnie. Yes, thank you very much. And we have a first-time listener. Brett has written in. Welcome to the show, Brett. First-time listener from Arlington, Texas. Merry Christmas. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you, too. We are down the garden path talking about everything, all about Christmas today, but normally anything gardening, plants, landscaping, that type of thing. So thank you for listening.
That's right, Brett. And you know what? We feel bad because we just announced, I'm sure if you were here at the beginning of the show, you already know, this is going to be the last show for 2019.
That's right.
So we are actually going to be on hiatus, enjoying our holidays, like we hope all of you will be enjoying yours, filled with light and love. But anywhere from, December 23rd next week, we won't be there the 23rd,
right?
The 30th, and then January 6th. So for the next 3 shows, next 3 Mondays, we will be gone.
Right.
But Brett, just in case you didn't tune in at the beginning, don't forget you can find past episodes of Down the Garden Path on any of your favorite podcast apps. So Google Play Music and
That's right.
All that kind of fun stuff. Whichever one you prefer, wherever you are in the world.
Just search for Down the Garden Path and you'll find all of our past shows.
Exactly.
That's right. So we did talk about, it was a great show last week with Kristen from Garden Gate Magazine.
Yeah.
Lots of great ideas for our gardeners. So that's definitely a show. If you missed it, go look for that.
That's right. If you're still looking for those cool gadgets and fun stuff.
Gifts for for the gardener in your life, please check it out because Kristen had a lot of really great ideas. And we talked about some plants that can be given as great gifts. I go back to the Amaryllis, which I think is a great gift. Especially for someone with kids or for a child, because it's so easy to, as your first plant and so rewarding because it grows. Once it gets growing, it really grows quickly. And I think that's a great way to inspire kids to get into gardening.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Mm-hmm. And do you like paper whites?
I don't because they're smelly.
Because you think they smell.
I do. I know. I couldn't. I can remember when I worked at the garden center and I couldn't set them up because there's always a display of them, right? The paper whites. I literally am going to pass out. Like I'm like, see ya. I'm not. I can't. I couldn't do that. I don't. But that meant that I had to work outside in the cold instead of inside, right? That was the side effect of that. But yeah, how about you? Do you don't mind the smell?
I don't mind the smell, and as long as there's not like 90 open. Just a few bulbs here. I don't mind the smell at all. I actually like it.
Okay.
But you're not alone. A lot of people hate the smell of it. Hate the smell of it. I quite don't mind it at all.
Yeah. So, if that is a nice little gift. Paper whites. If you do know of somebody who does like a little bit of fragrance in their home or that type of thing, they are a little bit more unusual. I think not as much. And not as common as, let's say, the poinsettias are.
Right.
But yeah, they make a nice little gift. Hostess gift even.
And I was thinking to your point, too, that like the amaryllis, once you get them like potted and warmed a bit, they tend to bolt and give you some nice leaves and the flower fairly quickly.
Yes. Yeah. So, that would be a good gift for a child, too, right? Or someone's new to gardening kind of thing. Yeah. So I think that is great. So plants make a great gift. They make a great thing to use to decorate in your own home, which I like to do.
Yes. Yeah. And then when in doubt, you can always buy them a gift card.
That's right.
Pick out one of the many myriad of plants or tools or something that they like at the garden center.
Yes.
So another plant that we often get questions about at the garden center are the potted Christmas trees.
Ah, yes.
That come inside. And we're always leery about them. They do make great little Christmas trees. But
So these are the outside plants that people are buying and bringing inside.
Exactly,
Instead of putting
yes.
them in the ground.
yes, thank you. Yeah, so like a little baby blue spruce or a white spruce or a white pine or anything like that. But here in the northern regions, we have to be careful. They can only really stay in 4 to 5, 6, 7 days at most inside before they warm up again and start to adapt. And then you're like, well, I'm just going to put it back outside and wait for the winter or the spring to plant it. But in that time, as she's adapted, it's like suddenly she's gone from 22 to minus 22.
Right.
And that'll kill her flat out. A 40-degree switch like that will shock her.
Okay.
And you can greatly increase the risk of it passing after the Christmas.
Okay, so if you're only bringing it in for those few days, should you have had a
Exactly.
pre-dug hole to put the pot in, right? To get it in the ground.
Right.
Because the garage isn't enough, right? We need to put it in the ground.
Right. Like our other things like wintering perennials in containers, we want to protect them from that freeze thaw. So if you pre-dig a hole, it doesn't have to be like a special hole or like prominently in your front garden. It can be in the back corner as long as it gets in the ground and has some good light for the winter. But we want to sink the root ball and protect it. So yes, pre-dig a hole and keep just 1 or 2 bags of triple mix in the garage or in somewhere where it can be thawed, that you can drop her in and fill the difference of the hole with the triple mix and let it freeze and be protected for the winter.
So that's a neat thing to do if you are only going to have a tree up for a little short time and environmentally friendly. Absolutely. Because you're using it twice, really.
Yeah.
It's a tree that you're going to plant in your yard, or maybe give a gift to somebody else who's going to plant it in their yard.
Right.
So it's kind of a sustainable idea, but it does require care and thought and planning.
Exactly, and that was going to be my last thing. Watch the planting, because a lot of the species that you see in those potted ones are like the straight species, like the big 60 footers by 40 footers.
Yes,
they're the big trees.
Yes, they're not the little dwarf ones. They're not the little ornamental ones that we use in garden designs. These are the big ones.
That's it. You're buying a white pine.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. 50 by 30 and in your tiny yard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So. All right. But then there's the Norfolk pine, which is more of an indoor tree. Yes. Right? Which is also kind of has that Christmas look. I have one. I do put I've got little tiny mini ornaments and some little, what are those lights? Oh, the teeny tiny lights. The twinkle lights. Yeah, the little twinkle lights LED on twinkles, it. Yeah, so that I have that in my bay window all year round. And this time of year, I just kind of put a few little ornaments on it and some twinkle lights. And it looks a little bit more festive. But I think it's a great gift for someone in an apartment or a condo where all year it can be a lovely tree. And then at just Christmas time, you decorate it as your Christmas tree. So I think that is a really great thing to look for.
That's it. And I learned the other day that they can live upwards under the right conditions out in the wild and maybe even in the house, like a Christmas cactus. But they can live upwards of 110 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Well, Nancy writes in. Hello, everyone there. Hello, Nancy. It's me, Joanne, and Gary. Merry Christmas to all of you. And Merry Christmas to you, too. A very happy new year. Nice shows over the past year. I learned a few things from you, only a few, and I truly appreciate that. May your new year be healthy and prosperous. Thank you very much. And thank you. The tag with the email address says Nancy, but it's signed Anne, so thank you, Anne. But thank you, yes, and Merry Christmas, and we're glad that we could be of help of some sort. And
that's right.
You enjoyed listening, and thank you for tuning in tonight. So thank you, Anne. So Norfolks are a great one. Kind of, I had asked you before, and what about me? And my Christmas plants, I just have a couple poinsettias.
Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. I didn't
No, not at all. Not at all. And I have a yellow blooming Christmas cactus. So,
okay.
I don't go really big on the Christmas plants.
Right.
I do enjoy them. I usually buy a few smaller ones just to kind of complement all my other ones. But
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, and because you're surrounded by them all day at work,
I
right?
am.
That's the other thing too, which I do miss. That
I'm totally surrounded.
Yes.
And I totally thought of that when you were like, I'm very negligent about
watering
sometimes
and stuff.
of them. And it's so true. It's like, that's the last thing I want to do.
Right.
When I come home is spend the day in the nursery or helping out over here and watering for 8 hours and then come home and water my plants.
Yeah.
So needless to say, the best ones that do well are succulents for me. But so what else do we want to talk about? We talked about kind of caring for our indoor greens. We talked about our Christmas trees. One of the other questions we get is the live tree versus the artificial tree.
Mm-hmm.
So which one is usually environmentally more friendly?
Or more just sustainable.
Or more sustainable, right?
Yes,
That's the better
yes,
word.
Yeah.
And actually it is the live tree.
Yes.
The live tree is grown and farmed specifically so that it can be replanted and regrown. And a lot of places, I guess in our area, the Bowmanville Zoo, it's closed now. It has been for a couple of years. But there are a lot of places that will actually take the used Christmas trees or garden centers, for example, and I know we've done it. You have 50 trees left over because you buy a few extra, and they'll take it for nesting and food and housing and whatever they want to do for it. So there's a lot of ways to recycle and reuse it and mulch it and continue its life beyond just being your Christmas tree.
I think erosion control, I think municipalities sometimes take them and use them in certain situations for some erosion control. There's lots of different ways to do that.
That's right.
So I think sometimes people get caught up in the having to buy a new one every year versus one that's artificial or everlasting, and it lasts 15 or 20 years, but really then it's just a thing of plastic and metal, right?
Right.
And we do have a whole show, so if you want to hear more on that topic,
that's right.
That was one of your solo shows and one of our popular shows. So check a look. Oh my gosh! Take a look or check it out. Either way, Down the Garden Path podcast. We reposted it because that was from a couple years ago, and we reposted it for the 2019. So it's up kind of closer to the top. So that's real versus everlasting, right?
Yes, I think is the title.
Yes, perfect.
That's right.
Perfect. So.
Harry writes in with a question. Hello, Joanne and Matthew. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas, Harry. Thanks for writing in. Thank you for all the very informative radio shows this year. I loved them. Looking forward to next year's planting season. What is the earliest time to get your vegetables in the ground next year? I'm thinking tomatoes, peppers, and potatoes. It'll be my first time trying to grow these things as I have a new place of property to use. I live in Andover, New Jersey. I'm in Zone 6A. Thank you for any advice that you can give me, Harry.
Excellent. Well, we're going to have a show about that.
You were just reaching for a piece of paper. Is that what?
Well, thank you very much, Harry, for writing in.
Yes. So we're Zone 5B.
So pretty close.
We're fairly close. So you're the next one down. So you could start them inside. Really, all the vegetables or a lot of the vegetables that you're going to grow, your tomatoes, your peppers, your potatoes are not going to be winter hardy. So they're going to get frosted out. So we're going to wait at least until your last frost. We need the ground to be workable. Your vegetables, your peppers, your tomatoes, your squashes, whatever you're going to grow like that, Harry, you're usually looking at about the May 2-4 weekend for us, because you are that much further south, whatever your average last frost date is. So for us, we play it safe. It's the May long weekend.
Well, it's a Canadian long weekend.
So it's
long usually
weekend.
Around the 24th of May. And I think your Memorial Day is usually the week before or the week after kind of thing. So I think we're definitely talking the end of May before you can put those outside in the ground. Harry, if you are ambitious and you want to try, starting seeds, then that's going to be more of like the February-March time frame, and we are absolutely going to have a show about that. And you can take a look again at past shows this past February-March, right? When we had Julie on, who's written a book about starting seeds. So we've got lots of info on our site. if you're wanting to do some research in the winter about starting vegetable seeds. But if not, then in May you can get them already started from your garden center in like little 4-inch pots or cell packs, and then get them out in the end of May.
That's right.
Right. So typically the growing season, really gets going. That kind of slow start in May, and then June and July, and that type of thing. So so it's exciting to start to grow veggies for the first time.
For sure. So that's really exciting that you've got some new property. So hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, and you need some clarification, you know where to write us.
That's right.
So hopefully that helps.
Excellent.
20 minutes left.
I know. Should we?
The final countdown. Do you want to, or you look like
still, if there's any questions, this is all about Christmas, everyone. So you've got a few more minutes of us here live. What are you doing? Okay. If you've got any questions about anything else, plant related, evergreen related, Christmas tree related, then please instudio101@gmail.com. And, we can talk. I mean, do you want to start? I mean, it's 22. I'm excited about next year. So we really struggle with, because what we do is seasonal and every season kind of is the same. And we wanted to figure out a way where we could still help you with all the different aspects of your garden, but be a little bit different, a little bit, kind of a different twist on it, right?
Right. I thought you were going to totally run with the whole.
So we have worked really hard to come up with. You want me to tell them? We need a drum roll. No, drum roll, please. So we are going to have monthly themes. Is how we're going to approach it. Right. And so every month. But that is actually going to start in February, just because we're coming in mid-January. Sorry, not June. January. Mid-January, and we had already a couple people booked for the end of January, which we're really excited about. So we're going to start February 1st. And so the month of February will be houseplants, for instance.
Right.
So each week that month will be geared towards a topic. The first week will be kind of how to care for, be some basic information about houseplants. And then every week will kind of be on that theme of houseplants.
Yeah.
March. So, I didn't bring the list with me.
I do. And Carl, as I look that up, has a question.
Oh, that's right. He says it's a silly question, Gary.
There are no silly questions, Carl.
No silly questions. Let's see. Hi, I know that this may be a very silly question. Is it possible to regrow a live Christmas tree? In 20 plus years of purchasing live Christmas trees, we have absolutely found the most amazing tree ever. It is perfect in every way, and it is kind of sad that it was cut down to sell for Christmas. Has anyone ever did something to the trunk of a tree to get new growth or roots to regrow? Just curious. Merry Christmas. What a cool question. That's not silly at all.
No.
Very cool question. But I still think the answer is no.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the trunk will regrow.
Right.
But the closest you could probably get, Carl, is if you take tip cuttings. So take cuttings with some buds on the end, because you can see usually they'll miss in the pruning some of the closed buds on the end of the fir or pine or whatever one, and do some cuttings.
Okay.
Take them and root those cuttings.
So get some growth hormone, right?
Right.
And was it called growth hormone? No.
Yeah, some rooting hormone.
Rooting hormone.
Yep. Dip them in the rooting hormone and get them growing as little saplings, and then plant those out.
Yes.
As you say, the most perfect Christmas tree, the first thing that jumps in my mind is like the most perfect shape, and it's pretty and it's colorful. No, Carl, that they do in the farms prune all the trees.
Right, to keep them that perfect shape.
Right. So you'll see some things, for example, we call it the old-fashioned Fraser fir. So it's the Fraser fir, but it's not quite as pruned as regularly, if at all. So you get growing through that pyramidal shape, you get some of the tips that kind of bolt out to fatten up to kind of create at that one point in its life cycle. So it's not like a perfect Christmas tree. You get to see some of the growth growing out of that perfect kind of shape. So that perfect shape is there to a point, but we do prune it to give it that perfect, tight Christmas tree look we like. So that's the only caveat I had to throw in there. But tip cuttings, Carl, is probably your best.
Yeah,
way
it'd
to
be
do
something to try, right? Doesn't cost you anything. I mean, a little bottle of, rooting hormone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. So that's exciting. You have to tell us what kind of tree it is.
Yeah, what kind is it? And is
Yeah.
it like a sport? Did you find like a mutation of some sort
Yeah.
that you're going to do?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so just the number 3 rooting hormone is what you'd want, and just make sure you've got a good grow light as well. But
Okay.
yeah, and
Okay.
you probably give it a good try for sure.
Perfect. So back to you were pulling up the
I pulled
list
up the
of
thing.
and so I was thinking we'll do like a graphic or do some kind of fun thing to let everybody know what's coming. So I think that'll be fun because you'll know what our topics are in advance.
Right.
And we've really kind of planned out all of 2020.
We have.
Yeah.
We have, and we think that it will be exciting, and it's going to keep you guys interested. And we like to talk about, like we talk about houseplants,
Mm-hmm.
but there's so much to talk about houseplants. So we thought that theme would just make it be we can just focus in on all that there is to talk about houseplants.
Right.
Kind of thing. And then we've picked each month as we move through the calendar year to kind of be poignant to that month and what's going on and what to look for and things like that. So, for example, like you said, February, we're talking all about houseplants. Do we want to go through the whole year?
The first few, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just back to
March.
was it Brett that wrote in about growing vegetables?
Harry.
Harry. Sorry. Oh, Harry. Yep. Sorry. Harry. So just as you were talking about vegetables and starting, March. That's what March is going to be. Starting seeds indoors because that's the time. And we're going to talk about veggies and, growing them in raised planters and starting them from seeds and how to prepare the beds and crop rotation, things like that, and really delve into those subjects so that you can take a look at them. And then April, it's warming up. We want to get outside. We're going to talk about lawn care, but, there's insects and diseases. So we'll talk about that one show. And then we'll talk about the care for one show. And then we'll talk about some other interesting things. We've always wanted to have artificial turf.
That's right.
Because that's becoming more and more popular.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we're kind of, just to kind of give you guys a snapshot, that's how we're kind of breaking it down. Having that being said, we're always open to your feedback.
That's
and
right.
what you want to hear. We do it because we love it, and we do it because you guys love it as well. So if there's a subject in there that is specific to anything at any time of year, please feel free instudio101@gmail.com, and we would love to hear what we can add to the show.
Absolutely.
What topics that we haven't touched on that make it exciting for you guys, or something that's totally new that you guys just need more information on. And the example was, Canada. Here in Canada, cannabis became legal.
That's right.
Right? So we're all growing it. And so how do we do that? What does that look like? So that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's exciting.
So it is exciting.
We're, and it's been fun to plan it because we have, we've relied on things, being seasonal and topical and that type of thing. And we've reached out to different guests at different times, and we've had guests reach out to us to be on the show. So this way we still are going to have some guests, and we're still going to be able to have some book giveaways, that type of thing. But they're just going to be more in the monthly theme. And so I think it'll be really good.
That's it. I think it's safe to say we've got one of the guests we've already got on board for 2020. In at least one spot is proven winners.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So they're already on board, and they're going to talk to us, and they're going to join us. So
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the end of January show.
one of them is January, and then
another one in the season. I know our first show back in January will be a solo show for you because I'm going to be off taking a course. But we're really excited to have Katie DeBow back with Garden Media to talk about the garden trends for 2020.
That's right.
I'm really sad I'm missing that show. I will probably have to listen in on my phone because I'll be traveling because my course starts on the Tuesday. So hopefully if you'd be able to listen in. So I'm really excited. So we've got a really great lineup next year.
We do. We do. Jane writes in, Merry Christmas to you. Thanks for all of the radio shows. Very nice advice, and your guests were awesome. Have a great new year.
Oh, thank you very much, Jane. You too.
Thank you, Jane. Yes, you too. And thank you. And we hope we can continue that. We're excited. We're very excited to continue that going through the year for you guys as well. So
yeah.
That's right. So there was another thing that we're really excited about too was, and I think we've mentioned it before. Well, you can follow me and Joanne on our social media, right? Downtoearth.ca, and all the links are there.
Mhm.
Down with the number 2.
That's right.
And then naturalAffinityDesigns.ca, and you can find, Instagram, Twitter, we're all there. But we've also decided we're going to launch out into, and we've got our new Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
So you can join Down the Garden Path podcast.
Facebook group.
Is the Facebook group. But you can also, we're going to start to launch for the new year. We're going to have our Down the Garden Path podcast for Twitter, Instagram. That's going to be the Down the Garden Path podcast for
Right.
Facebook. And I thought there was one more, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. I
But-
think that's all.
But I think it's just those main 3. So especially Facebook. Facebook is up and it's running.
Mhm. Yep.
We're posting our graphics. You can interact with us there. And so it's just, we've soft launched it. We're kind of doing that.
Yeah. We're that's a work in progress. We're hoping to have our guests even join the group. So then if you've got questions after the show to our guests and to the authors, that they'll be in that group as well. So yeah.
See some behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Joanne and I find articles often that we talk about, but now we have a forum that we can also share them beyond
Right.
our businesses.
Right.
We can share them with you guys as well, our listeners.
That's right.
The links and the pictures and the fun stuff that we get to, you can't see us talking about right now.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. And speaking of our businesses, we're also very bad at letting you know more about what we do. So please check out our websites for that reason also. And know that both as landscape designers, we can, even if we're not in your area, so anybody in the GTA, absolutely, please reach out to us.
Yeah.
If you have an area of your yard, the internet's become a wonderful thing, and there's lots of people that are doing remote designs,
Yeah.
with measurements and photos, that type of thing. So if that's something that you're thinking about, even a gift certificate for someone for Christmas, that's another great idea.
Yep.
Definitely think about that. We definitely recommend, my motto is always great landscape start with a
I
plan.
love that motto.
I know. So and the biggest thing there is you can't call a landscape designer in February, March, to have the job done in May. It just doesn't work that. The contractors have been booking up.
Yeah.
So October, November, they're already booking, May and June. So pretty much when you start calling around in February or March, when the weather starts to warm up, you're now looking at like a July or beginning of August installation. So the earlier you can, and I say this always because I'm like, I'm not really motivated in January, but yes, that is the best time. And I have a few designs on my desk now, that type of thing. So definitely keep that in mind. We would love to do a landscape design for you.
Yeah.
And we also or if you want to find someone locally, that's fine too. But definitely now January. Now get in their radar and just get in their queue, right?
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. Oh, Dawn has sent in a question. Hello, I'm a new listener from Victoria, British Columbia. Welcome, Dawn. Thanks for tuning in. I heard about your radio show from a friend of mine who is in the gardening club here in BC. Merry Christmas to all of you. I just wanted to say hello, and I look forward to listening to you in the coming new year. Plant on.
Oh, I like that, Dawn.
I like that too.
Plant on
Can
too.
we steal that?
I know. Can we steal that? So I'm excited. We've got lots happening.
Yeah, we do. We've got lots. I mean, without like spoiling the whole thing for you
Right.
and giving you all of the details, we are super excited, and we are hoping that you guys are super excited as well, and that you guys have had a great year listening in, and we really appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to us and sharing your thoughts and ideas.
Yes.
And your
yeah.
enthusiasm and excitement as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
thank you, Dawn, for tuning in. Thank you for your question. We've got like less than 5 minutes left.
I know. What else is there to talk about?
I think we've kind of covered
I think we have
everything we
two.
wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else? I mean, no dead air.
I
but-
know. No dead air. I think, I mean, we've had the snow, some of the, the late season gardening stuff that we've tried to, tell people, it's too late for any of that. Right.
Mhm.
So I think we are good. And it's exciting to look forward to Christmas.
Yes. I
And
can't wait.
and holiday plants. Definitely, look for some of the plants we've suggested. at your local garden center, the more mom and pop kind of, local place. Support your local nursery and garden center. Definitely encourage that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. So just before we sign off, is there like a little holiday tradition that you and your family, you and the boys do that you look forward to every year?
I know. We did something when the kids were younger, and we haven't, and I'm hoping maybe we can even do it again this year. There is a place, I don't know if you're familiar with Lynn Shores. Are you familiar with Lynn Shores?
I have heard, but no.
Yeah, so it's in Whitby. So anybody in the GTA, it's worth the drive. And it's kind of this little public park, not even a park, it's like woods, conservation. But if you bring your own bird seed, the birds, and you put the bird seed on your hands and kind of stand like a tree, and the little chickadees will land on your hand and feed from your hand. So we used to do that Christmas Eve. It was kind of like we found with the kids, like it was all the hustle and bustle was over, and before the craziness of Christmas Day, we would go out Christmas Eve morning, and it'd be quiet and peaceful, and you were in nature, and it was fun. That when the kids were little, like we'd put the seeds on their hats, and like then because they wouldn't keep their hands still, so then the birds would chickadees, and they're light as a feather and quick as can be, and so that was kind of a fun thing, and we've introduced lots of friends to it. So there is a big group of our friends who still do it on Christmas Eve. So we've had our family get-togethers have changed a little bit slightly, so we haven't been able to do it the last couple of years. But so that's been a fun thing. How about you?
I thought you were going to say like there were lights or something like that.
Yeah,
but
no.
I have done that, and that is so magical. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You could put it right off the end of your nose, and they will literally be right in front of your face.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's so fun. We go out for, again, if you're in the Whitby area or more closer to the Bowmanville area, Old Scugog Road.
Oh, okay.
Has all the big manor houses, like older, bigger homes, and some of them are very new. But everyone in the neighborhood, there's like 6 little cul-de-sacs, that goes up Scugog Road, and they all go full out for Christmas lights.
Oh,
and
nice.
Decorations, and we take donations. So we always go out and we do a festive special at Swiss Chalet. Swiss Chalet, but we do go for festive special. We go out to dinner, and then we grab our Tims and our coffee and our tea.
And then go check out the lights.
We go check out the lights and drive around with everybody else and listen to Christmas carols. And it's just a nice little family get-together.
Excellent.
So it's our tradition. We haven't done that yet this year.
Yeah. Good.
So it's
good.
Coming
Yeah,
up.
the weather's been a little challenging, so hopefully this week's looking good.
Yes.
That's good. Well, thank you, everybody.
Yes.
And we want to remember to check us out at down2earth.ca. And they can find you at
naturalaffinitydesigns.ca.
Mm-hmm.
You can always reach us here via Gary at instudio101@gmail.com. Thank you, Josh, Susan, Winnie, Brett, Ann, Harry, Jane, and Dawn. Thank you all for tuning in and sending us a question. Thank you, everybody who's listening, whether you wrote in a question or not. We love that you're listening. We wish you the very best, a warm, happy, loving Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you, Gary and Elaine. Thank you for having us here every week. And
thank you always for joining us here down the garden path on Reality Radio 101.
Thank you for listening to Down the Garden Path with your host, Joanne Shaw and Matthew Dressing, right here on Reality Radio 101.